what do you feel about transferring our show to become a marriage advice show? We can give the people advice.
Yeah.
We got it, right?
We got advice.
We know what we're doing.
We got good things we can talk about.
Made it 3 3/4 years.
Yeah,
already.
we're closing in on that 4.
Nobody makes it to 4 years of marriage. Nobody does.
What you say?
I told you that it's time to start the show.
That you only meant well.
Yeah, the show's gonna do
Of
well.
course you did. What you say?
I said let's go.
That it's all for the best.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like the best podcast.
What you say?
God, do I have to keep repeating myself?
Just what we need. You decided this.
Hold up, I
What
thought we
you
both
say?
decided to do this.
What did she say?
I said let's start the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to What You Say, an OC podcast. My name is Elyse Daly.
And I am Scott Daly.
And together,
We're
the Dailies.
This is the podcast where each and every week my wife Elyse and I go through the hit 2000s teen drama The OC episode by episode. This week on the show we are covering season 2 episode 18 entitled The Risky Business.
I forgot I wanted to have us watch the actual movie Risky
Business. It has
because
been a
it's
while.
been too long since I've seen it, so I wanted to see all the things that they copied.
No, we'll talk about that. It's
Okay.
not too many. It's mostly everything around the egg is copied from Risky Business.
Well, I was
That's it.
really kind of sad that they missed out on the whole shirt sock scooting across thing.
Just couldn't work it into the episode. Hey, Elyse, today, remember we were watching a show over the weekend that talked about the OC. Remember?
We watched a lot of shows over the weekend.
Yeah,
what
but
show was this?
The one that talked about the OC.
I don't remember which one that
It
was.
was the Anna Kendrick show on
Oh,
HBO.
yes. Oh, yes, it was. Love Life.
There was a flashback to the halcyon
Luc
days
Descharme.
of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually like 2005. It was Thanksgiving 2005, so we haven't quite reached that yet.
No, so that would be season 3.
Mm-hmm. That would be the first 10 episodes of season 3 or something. And two characters were talking about how mad they were that the OC was not on.
So
on
glad they didn't
Thanksgiving.
spoil anything for you
I
from
know.
season 3. Oh
What
my
if
gosh,
they
I didn't
had?
even think of that.
It's interesting because, like, I remember this as being a cultural touchstone. I think you kind of do, but you came to it late. You came to it after the show was already over, right?
I mean, I watched it in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it, I guess it was 2007. So
Yeah.
I might have been there like towards the very last season, but I didn't see it live.
I just think it's funny because I don't think of this show like this show is not talked about in the ways that a lot of like the most culturally revered shows are. I don't hear this show talked about as much, and so to hear it referenced on a show flashing back to 2005, I thought was humorous.
I mean,
because this was a big deal.
It was a big show in the 2000s.
It was, but it's kind of really faded. I don't think the Gen Zers are rewatching the OC like they're rewatching Friends and Full House and all that shit. You know?
Well, that's because they haven't done anything recently with the OC. People are watching Full House because of Fuller House.
No, they're not. Fuller House exists because a lot of people are watching.
You know
Full
why
House.
else they're watching those shows?
Why?
Because their parents are being nostalgic and making them watch those shows.
I think that's kind of true, but I also think like Gen Z just watches Friends all the time.
Oh, that's Friends.
Big on Friends.
That's Friends. I never watched Friends live either.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
You were one of
those. It was the biggest show.
Did
Thursday
you watch
night.
it so that you could hang out with girls?
What?
Did you watch it so you could hang out with the ladies?
No.
Are you sure?
Elyse.
Did you watch it by yourself?
Elyse, this was the 90s. I was not hanging out with the ladies in the 90s. Come on. I was a nerdy teenager. No ladies
When
were
did you
hanging out
start hanging
with
out
me.
with the ladies?
Oh, you know. How old am I? 34. So, like, when did we meet? 29 or so. I was 29 when I started hanging out with ladies.
You know what show we use as an excuse to get together and commingle?
What?
You know what show we use as an excuse to get together and commingle with my friends?
Let me try to guess. Lost?
Yeah.
I got it.
How did you know?
Just a guess. Just a guess.
We would have Lost watch parties and Alias, both of those.
I did watch the Lost series finale with my friends at my friend's house. But that was when I was a full-blown adult.
That Lost show, that got me through college. I remember watching that finale with my roommates. Whew, sophomore year.
My freshman
think it
year
was sophomore year.
sophomore year was when Lost came out of college. And I remember I was visiting my friend who I had a huge crush on. She went to Trinity, and I came and visited her for the weekend. Nothing happened. I'm a coward. But she's the one that introduced me to Lost because she's like, you got to watch
It's
this
not
show.
because you're a coward. It's because you respect women.
Yeah, totally.
Scott, don't
Well,
sell yourself short.
I do respect women. I just didn't try to make a move.
Well,
I
and that's
could've.
fine.
I should have maybe.
You
But
know
my
what?
life would be totally different now.
You respected her enough and you knew that she wasn't going to be into it.
I respect women so much that I assume they all want nothing to do with me.
Except for me.
Well, I mean,
Why?
I don't know. It just happens. though.
Scott,
What?
we're supposed to talk about the OC.
Oh yeah. But before we do that, let's talk about some Rosies and Thornies.
Okay, let's do it. Let's talk about this week. We're going to look back on the good, the bad, the roses, and the thorns. And we usually start with the bad, so we're going to continue to start with the bad.
Okay.
So
do you want
Scott-
to go first, or you want me to go first?
I will go first because mine's going to be really short because if I get into too much details, it's going to be disgusting and gross.
This week on another episode of Elyse Describes Her Bodily Functions. Elyse, what is your thorn for the week?
Let's just say my stomach has not been really happy with me this week, and I need to work on my gut health. And that's all I'm going to say
Gut health. Gut health.
because it's not very happy with me right now.
I want one day. I want maybe for like episode 100 of this podcast, we'll have like a super cut of Elyse talking about her bowel movements.
No, I don't talk about the bowel movements.
You just heavily imply about them.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to describe them because then we would lose everybody from listening to our
It's a
show.
super cut of you burping and then describing the ways in which your tummy hurts and leading people to believe what's going on downstairs.
Yes. Well,
I'm sorry your tummy's not doing too good.
that's okay.
Does it feel any better today?
No.
Oh no. I'm
But
sorry.
that's okay.
Well, we had a whirlwind weekend, so maybe it
We
didn't have
did
time to
travel.
settle.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. It's just like a little road trip doesn't ever do a good job, but you know.
But that gets me to my thorn.
Oh, what's your thorn,
of the week.
Scott?
So, like you said, it is Labor Day weekend. It is Labor Day right now, the day we are sitting here recording. And your parents, my in-laws, wanted to get away for a little bit. They just needed some time away. You know, remember we took that time away trip around your birthday? They hadn't done anything like that. They really needed to.
They needed a break.
So they booked a little bed and breakfast in
Glenrose,
Texas, this little tiny town about an hour and a half southwest of where we live.
It's in between Fort Worth and Waco,
Sure.
halfway.
So, and they invited us to go along with them and your older sister. Yeah. So we all went to Glenrose, Texas, just for a night at this little tiny Airbnb. And it's just a B&B, not an Airbnb. And I had a good time there. I had a wonderful time there, and I'm going to have some good things to talk about that trip here in a second. But the bad thing I wanted to talk about is that we took our dogs. It was a bed and breakfast that was dog friendly, which is part of the reason why your dad picked that one. And so we brought both Ghost and Penny down, and it was the first time we've done that in a while. And Penny was overall very good.
She just barks at everybody. We
barks at
really need to get that
everybody,
under control.
We do, and she doesn't listen to us when we tell her to stop. That's the unsettling part. But Ghost didn't do well with the situation. Ghost has, we've talked about this on the show before, that Ghost has become very independent in her elderly age, and she no longer sleeps in the bedroom with us. She sleeps out in the other room by herself, usually under a vent because she likes the air blowing on her. So we were in a tiny little bedroom in this Airbnb, and Ghost was not comfortable. It was all wooden floors. There were no carpets, and Ghost, she was just anxious and she was uncomfortable. So from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night, Ghost was just up pacing in the bedroom, and her nails are a little long right now because it's been a while since she's been groomed, and we haven't trimmed her nails in a bit, and so it was just click 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 click.
It was like horses' hooves all night.
Yep, for like 2 hours, and then she'd lie down, and we'd go, "Oh, thank God," And then like 10 seconds later, it's like she didn't get comfortable. She got anxious and got up again and started walking around. And it wasn't because she had to use the bathroom, because it wasn't she didn't need water or food. She had all that. It was just she was anxious. And this is unusual behavior for Ghost. I think she's just not used to the hardwood floor. We laid down a blanket, or not a blanket. We didn't have any extra blankets. We laid down a towel for her. So maybe you just needed to sleep on something soft. We took Penny's bed out of her crate because she wasn't using it, which is not big enough for Ghost, but maybe you can lay your head on it or something, just something. And none of it worked. Finally, we put Ghost on the bed. And that made her happy, finally. But it was like a small bed.
A queen bed with 2 full-grown humans and 2 full-grown dogs. I mean, one a husky and one a miniature Australian shepherd, but still, it's a lot of things on a bed.
There's not a lot of room. And like what I figured was going to happen is what happens at home right now, where sometimes, especially when I'm recording and you go to bed before me, Ghost will jump up on the bed and she'll sleep with you for a little bit. But the second I get in bed, she normally gets uncomfortable and jumps down because the bed is crowded. We have a queen bed at home too. But I think she was just so stressed out about everything that she just refused to get off the bed. Like she got to a place where she was comfortable and just stayed there. And then like you had to get up in the middle of the night. I was moving around as I always do. And instead of like just getting down in frustration like she would just adjust to a new spot. So all 4 of us were on the bed all night. And I did not get the best night's sleep. But
yeah, that's why I napped on the car ride home. It was lovely.
But hey, at least she got calmed down. I was really worried about that. I was worried she was going to start destroying something. She was so stressed. So she did not do that. So that's good. But that was a rough night. It was a rough night. And I felt bad because I was very tired in the morning. And I didn't want to like tell that to your dad and be like, yeah, no, we didn't really sleep that well. But that's my thorn. That was a long story. I'm sorry. But that's my thorn.
It's okay.
What about good things?
Oh my gosh, Scott. I have been waiting since what? Was it supposed to come out in March? It was supposed to come out in March and it didn't. Mulan. Mulan has finally come out. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, like previous our What You Say show, when we used to watch just movies from our childhoods, a long time ago, we did some episodes about Disney princesses. And my 2 favorite Disney princesses are Ariel and Mulan. Both very different stories, but I love Mulan because I just really appreciate the like strength behind the character.
Sure.
And the music is wonderful and I just love the story and the themes of it. And so I have been so excited for this live action Mulan.
So excited.
Since I've seen the trailer for the first time, I have been looking forward to this movie. And then when it was pushed back because of the theater shutting down, I was so upset and it kept getting pushed back and back. And I wanted to know when Mulan would come out. And finally, they released it on Disney Plus. And we watched it on Friday. And you know what? I loved it. Was it really that great? I couldn't tell you. I had blinders on. But what I could tell you is it was different than the cartoon.
Yes.
But in my opinion, I felt like I liked the story better in this movie, but I did miss the songs from the other.
Sure.
But I felt like there was a really good message behind this one too. And I appreciated that.
Yeah. Not to rain on your parade.
It's fine. I know you didn't really like it very much.
I didn't like it that much. I didn't think it was that great of a movie. And
I know.
Like, to clarify that statement, I am like fully in on these Disney live action remakes. Like there's a lot of people that get very cynical and annoyed about them. I'm totally in. I loved the Aladdin remake. I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. I loved it. I didn't like this too much. I think my problem with it is it's like trying to do a lot of things that I've seen done better in other films. Like here's what I'll take as the positive of this movie. I think this movie could be a gateway for a lot of people into the kind of wuxia Chinese martial arts films that it's obviously trying to channel. I think it could be a huge gateway into those films. And if it does that, that's fantastic because there's so many good films of this type that already exist. I mean, like the one that everyone's heard of is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which this was very Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon-esque for sure. I think that movie's better. I think that's a really great film, and there's a reason why that won the Academy Award. Or did it? I think it did. I don't remember. It got nominated, I'm pretty sure. But there's a whole lot of these films, and if what Mulan does is introduce a lot of children into this whole new type of cinema that is really exciting and fantastic, I will love it. I'll be happy for it. I don't think the movie itself was that great.
You wouldn't be happy if it just was able to show little girls that it's okay that you don't have to just fall in love and be
I think
the stereotypical woman, and you can,
sure. Sure, I think there's movies that do that better than this too. I mean, yes, the movie has a good message. Totally.
Yes.
Totally. It has a good message. I don't think the way the movie achieves that message is that great.
I enjoyed it.
I'm not saying you're wrong to enjoy it. I was a little disappointed by this movie. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. What's your rose?
My rose has to do with our trip this weekend, because my rose is reading on the patio. One of my most favorite things to do in the world is going outside somewhere in a comfy chair, outside in the wilderness, and reading a good book. That is one of my favorite things to do anywhere ever. And we haven't gotten to do it in a long time because we've been stuck in our house. We don't really have a patio. We don't have a covered area. Mm-hmm. And also it's been summer and it's hot as fuck in Texas, and I don't want to go outside. It's too hot. But this past weekend, we were in a place that had this beautiful patio with this beautiful view of, was it the Brazos? I think it was a river feeding into the river.
Brazos. I don't know.
But it had and the temperature was decent. It was a little hot in the sun, but in the shade it was cool and nice because it's September now and it's finally starting to cool down. And I just spent this morning, I spent 2 hours just sitting out there. I finished the book I was reading. And it was just so nice. And I love that so much. And I wish, whatever happens in our lives, Elyse, retirement for you and I there has to be a porch or a patio or something.
Sounds good to me.
Just that we can go out and sit on. And
how long till I can retire?
Let's see. You're 31, so never. Never.
Oh my. It is going to be a while, isn't it?
Yes.
It's okay. I can do it, right? Breathe in, breathe out, push on.
Just keep swimming, as they say.
I mean, the likelihood of us having another pandemic like this in my profession is very slim. Right?
High. No. It's high.
Oh, it's high?
Yeah. Super viruses.
I don't know if I could go through another one. I really don't.
It's okay, babe.
It's been a test.
We'll always have each other and reading on patios.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, are you ready?
Mulan. We'll always have Mulan because we spent $30 on it and now we own it forever.
I'll watch that again.
As long as we keep paying for Disney Plus every month.
Oh yeah, what if we lose that?
No more Mulan.
That's awful.
It needed the songs, babe. It really needed the songs. It didn't need the Mushu Dragon. I didn't need Eddie Murphy, but I needed some songs.
You needed the I'll Make a Man Out of You song?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Disney cartoons are best when they're musicals.
And that's probably why you liked Aladdin, because they actually did a musical.
Yeah, and it's great. And they also did, the genie was just Hitch. He's just Will Smith playing Hitch, and I thought that was hilarious.
That's true, too. Okay, Scott, I'm going to move us on to talk about the OC now.
Finally.
Okay, so we're going to talk about The Risky Business, which is the 18th episode of Season 2 of the OC. This is our introduction to a new writer and director for the series. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, The Risky Business was written by Corey Martin and directed by Norman Buckley. Corey only goes on to write one more episode for the show, but this is the first of 6 episodes to be directed by Norman.
Oh.
It aired on April 7th, 2005.
Stormin' Norman. Doing a good job. I guess he must have impressed someone.
He liked it.
All right. So this week on the OC, Sandy is reluctantly named the honorary chair of the Newport charity fundraiser thing, a job which turns out suits him very well. With her mom and Caleb out of the country, Marissa comes to live at the Coens for a week, which only inflames her situation with Ryan. Meanwhile, Trey steals something. Again. And Ryan has to get him out of it. Again. Also, Zach and Seth get back to work on the comic despite Summer's protests. Elyse.
Yes.
What did you think of this week's episode?
Scott, I've told you how much I love Season 2, and we had a little bit of a slump there in some of the episodes.
We did.
but it's all rolling now. It is on towards the season finale, and we have Trey, we've got Marissa, we've got Zach back, we've got the comic thing on a roll. Scott, there's so many things that are working in this episode, and they are all doing a great job, and I was here for it.
That's great. Yep. Yeah, this is our 7th to last episode. We got 7 more episodes before the finale. So yeah, we are ramping up. All these arcs are we're doing our final storylines of the season.
Can I also ask you to, I don't want to tempt you and tell you this, because I know like when you say don't push the red button, people want to push the red button.
Okay.
If someone tells you not to push the red button, will you not push the red button, or will you push the red button?
I'm very confused as to what you're talking about.
If I warn you not to do something because it will tell you what happens in some episodes later, will you promise not to do it?
Yeah, I will promise not to do it.
The IMDb summaries give away a huge plot point if you click through. So don't like look on future episode summaries
I never do
before
that.
you. Okay.
I never do that.
I was trying to figure out like how many we had left and see if like their summaries would have sparked something so I could remember. And then it was like, I'm glad that I didn't read them to you, because it would have been a shocker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. This was a really strong episode. It was very, very funny. It was very tense when it needed to be tense. There was lots of good drama. I mean, we have some.
Think they only gave Corey one more episode.
I know. What did you do wrong, Corey? Maybe he just was busy. Maybe he had to write some other shit. You never know. And the way these writers' rooms work, Elyse, it's like, you know, you get a writer assigned to be the writer of the episode, but normally the episodes are broken in a room filled with people, and they just take turns who is going to be the one who writes it all up, and that's the one who gets the writing credit on the episode. So Corey
drew the short stick.
Corey could have been in the writer in the room. No, it's the good stick. That's how you get. No, it's good. It's good, babe. You need to have your name on things if you want to get accreditation and get monies,
I guess.
But yeah, no, I thought it was a really great episode. I have some complaints, of course, as we always do, because that's what we do. We complain about things that we like.
Why must you always complain?
That's my job, baby.
Why can't you just be happy?
I am happy.
No, you're not. But you always find something to hate.
I feel like you know as well as I do that every rose has its thorn.
Sometimes the thorns aren't there. Sometimes they cut them off.
Just like every night has its dawn.
No.
Every cowboy sings a sad, sad song.
Every rose has a rose.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. It's not a rose if it doesn't have a rose.
That's dumb.
It's true, though, isn't it?
I mean, I guess. You can say that about everything. Every coffee has its coffee. Every mug has a mug. You're not saying anything.
Every mug doesn't have a handle.
That's true?
Yes.
I don't understand the point of what you just said, though.
Is a mug really a mug? Or is it a bowl with a handle?
What the fuck are you talking about? It's not a bowl, it's a cup. A mug is a cup with the handle.
A small bowl.
No, it's a
with
cup.
A handle.
It's not a bowl.
I think I just blew your mind, and you don't know what to do about it.
I know exactly what to do about it. We'll just tell you you're wrong.
No.
Yes.
Is cereal in the soup category?
No.
Are you sure?
Let me ask you a question, Elyse.
Don't ask the hot dog question.
I'm not going to ask the hot dog question. I was going to ask the hot dog question. Damn you. Hey, Elyse, speaking of roses and thorns, do you want to tell me what your least favorite part of this episode was?
I guess I'll tell you. Because Summer just does not like what my favorite part of this whole season has been. Which is the graphic novel and comic book. And Carter has a way to bring it back. And Zach and Seth are like kind of into it. And then Seth goes to ask Summer about it, and Summer says no.
So Zach and I got to talking, and we're sort of chatting about our passions and our dreams. And
Aw, that make you think of me? That is so sweet.
No, actually.
Really? Because the only passions you have besides me are Captain Oates, whiny music, and well, I know it can't be comic books, because if you bring up you and Zach in Atomic County, I'll kill you both while you sleep.
And you know what? It's not Summer's idea. It's not Summer's brain power. Summer's not the one behind the artistry. Summer's not the one behind the story. Summer was just the model for a character. And you know what? If Seth and Zach want to do it, let Seth and Zach go and do their graphic novel.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree. And it's not just even that she's preventing them from doing the graphic novel. She seems to be like telling Cohen he's not allowed to like comics anymore. Like the episode starts out with Zach
very controlling this episode.
Zach walking up to Seth and saying, "Hey, guess what movie comes out on DVD this weekend?" Which is the movie Elektra, which I don't understand why Zach is excited about that at all, because that was a terrible fucking movie.
They didn't know that before they saw it, Scott.
Yeah, Zach saw it in the theaters. Cohen didn't, Zach did, because he loves that shit. Because this was back in 2005 when we didn't have very many good comic book movies to choose from.
Jennifer Garner.
It was a bad movie. Oh my god, it was so awful.
Jennifer Garner.
But Seth basically says, Summer wants me to cool it with the comic book stuff. And I'm like, hold up a minute. First of all, what brought you together again was a recreation of a comic book movie. And second of all, if you love Seth, you love the things that Seth loves. You don't have to actually like be into comic books, but you have to respect that he is. You know that I love movies and that I love video games and that I love
Stephen King.
Yeah, perfect. Stephen King is perfect. You have not read a word of a Stephen King book.
Have I ever told you not to read them?
Of course not, because that would be ridiculous.
Exactly. Have I gone to the library and checked out the books for you?
You have.
You're welcome.
The last 3 library books I got were Stephen King books I didn't already own, and I'm trying to save money, and I'm so not buying them. And you've gotten them for me.
I know, because I love you.
I love you too.
I know.
It's just ridiculous. It is like I do totally agree with you that Summer comes off looking bad in this thing.
She does.
She looks bad. Although there is some hilarity from this whole thing, which is when they decide that they're gonna, instead of collecting comic books, they're gonna collect baseball cards, and they don't know anything about them at all, and it's really funny.
So what do you got?
Our new hobby?
Baseball cards.
Really cool. They come with gum, and they're worth like all sorts of different amounts, but each month they go up and down in value like the stock market. And they come with gum.
Yeah.
Can I just say, for the record,
Yeah.
They say we're not making a comic, we're making a graphic novel, so it doesn't count. We're not breaking our promise to Summer. It's the same thing, baby.
Counts.
It's the same thing.
I know that. You know that.
They should know that.
Summer doesn't know that.
It's the same thing.
But Summer doesn't know that.
It's the same thing.
It's fine.
So
but I just wish that she would, be a little bit more supportive and recognize, maybe Summer doesn't have to be involved in this whole thing, and she should be the one that steps back.
Yeah.
And just let Zach and Seth do it, because if she wasn't involved, they probably could have had the comic book work, because she was the reason they were fighting.
Yeah. And in fact,
Summer.
I think it's really cool how cool Zach's being.
Yeah.
He's like wanting to be friends with them all still.
Well, because Seth and Zach are like 2 peas in a pod.
Can I ask you no, I don't want to ask you. I don't want to know. I was going to ask you if Zach's back next year, but I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know, because it's going to break my heart if I know. So we'll find out.
Okay.
So that's your thorn.
That's
Anything
my
else
thorn.
you wanted to say about that?
Nope. What's your thorn?
Here, one more thing I wanted to say about that whole thing. It is weird to me the manner in which the show works Carter into the thing. So they needed
oh yeah, no, he's just total like out of the blue. Oh, Kirsten told him about the thing, so he's just gonna help, and he was there to move the plot along.
Right. They literally needed a device to give them another opportunity so they could bring this thing back. And they just said, why not Carter? With no explanation. He's just in the scene. And like the funny thing about the scene where he comes is literally he just starts it off. He said he's there to literally say, yeah, Kirsten told me you were working on a comic book. And then Zach and Seth are talking the rest of the time, and Carter's just standing there.
That was in the writer's room. They were like, we got to get this going again.
Right.
I think it was good. How can we get it going again? And then some guy was like, Carter's in the magazine business?
That's close to publishing comic books.
So maybe there's some connection there. And everyone bit on it.
Yeah. I mean, it does solve problems, right? They didn't want to have to create a new character. They needed it to be someone new that wasn't around the first time this was happening.
And
they didn't want to create a new character.
Trey couldn't do it.
Because they got to hire a whole nother person. They don't want to do that shit. That costs money. Yeah. So Carter is the perfect and kind of shitty excuse to do that. Yeah. Yep. Okay. My thorn.
Yeah.
My thorn is Trey. My thorn is specifically Trey being a bad boy. This is the same plot as last week. It's the same thing. Exactly. So in this week's episode, Trey is kind of co-opted to help out with the fundraiser. Mm-hmm. So he goes with Sandy to the fundraiser. And this is how the risky business point works in, because at the fundraising auction they're doing, one of the things being auctioned is the crystal egg from the movie Risky Business, which if you've seen that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's this giant fucking crystal egg that is one of the main things that Tom Cruise is trying to get back. Because it's stolen at some point, and he's trying to get it back before his parents get home.
It's worth $10,000 in this episode, and Trey needs money so that he can get an apartment.
So Trey is trying to get an apartment. Actually, it's Alex's old apartment because, again, they don't want to spend money on building a new set, so we already have this apartment set. We're not using it. Bam! Done. Problem solved. But he needs money. He doesn't have it. He offers to be like the handyman. They run his background check and see that he was in prison.
You caught that he had said handyman, but the guy, when he called, said manager.
Yeah.
Which, no, you're not going to pass a background check and be able to be a manager of an apartment complex if you had just gotten out of prison. I understand that.
Isn't that guy the manager?
Handyman?
Isn't that guy that he's talking to about the handyman job the manager of the complex?
I don't know.
I
mean, I guess if you're a handyman, then you're going to be going into people's apartments, and so that probably has some background check issues.
I still totally understand why this. Yeah. This is the catch-22 of former felons, right? Is that you get out of prison and you're told go follow the straight and narrow, make your life, but nobody wants to hire you because you were in prison. Which is why there are so many government programs that actually give money to companies that offer work to former incarcerated individuals because they need help. Help. This is why our recidivism rate is so high, because these people can't get jobs. I understand what they're doing with this character and the problems they're facing. It's just like anytime Trey encounters an issue, the first thing he goes to is, I'm gonna steal some shit. It's the first thing he does.
I mean, he's good at it, isn't he?
So basically he needs money.
Or I guess he's not, because he got caught.
He always gets fucking caught. He needs money, and he goes to the auction house and he steals the egg. Marissa knows about this because she overheard him not get the job on the phone. And Marissa's doing her own hidden plan to get him money because she's the nicest girl in the world.
Is she?
Or just trying real hard to bang Ryan again.
Yeah, that sounds more like it, doesn't it?
But it's like it's the same plot repeated over again. It's Ryan confronts Trey about this thing. Trey originally denies it, but then comes clean. Then Ryan goes off to solve the problem for him, does that, gets the egg back, returns the money with Seth in tow this time, which creates this wonderful scene where he throws the egg like a football to Seth, which is the dumbest choice that Ryan's made in this entire story. And yet Seth manages to catch it. Which is, again, that was recreating a scene from Risky Business, by the way.
I know.
The biggest scene recreation of Risky Business, though, my favorite part of the whole episode, despite the fact that it's my thorn.
Is it your rose?
Not yet.
Oh.
Not yet.
Well, then don't say it's your favorite part of the episode.
The first time Trey sees the egg, there's this moment where he sits down and stares into it. And what music plays in the background? We're just going to play the scene.
Can we play it with the music?
I think so.
Are you sure?
We'll find out.
What's this?
Oh, David Pastor's father-in-law's brother ran the prop house at Warner Brothers. It's from some Tom Cruise movie.
This is the crystal egg from Risky Business?
Well, it's not the F-14 from Top Gun.
That is so cool.
So they got the music from Risky Business. They got this song. I don't even know what this song is, but this song plays throughout so much of the movie. This song that just played there. It's like the backtrack to half of the movie. And every time I hear that song, I think Risky Business. And I thought it was just wonderful, the commitment to the bit in that regard. But yeah, I mean, the reason I don't like this overall is I feel like they're doing this stuff with Trey, and they're just going to keep doing it. And every episode, he's going to get a little worse. Like at the last episode, they thought he stole the watch. He denied it. We're still kind of up in the air whether he stole the watch or not. This episode, he definitely stole the egg. But by the end of the episode, we're all fine again. We're all okay. Sandy chastises them for not going to him with their problems again, which they should have done, but they will never do. And Marissa gets him the money and solves the problem, so that's done. We don't care about that anymore.
I hate to tell you this, Scott,
What?
but Trey's a really bad.
Trey's a bad boy.
He's a bad character.
Boy. But
I mean, you hope that he's not, because you saw how Ryan could have been. You know, he was redeemed, but you always got to have some character to bring everybody down.
I know that, and I understand that. I'm worried we're just gonna keep doing this cycle where he's just gonna get a little worse each episode, and then by the end of it, we're gonna be like, oh, it's okay though. He's learned his lesson. But this and then before it finally boils over. I think that's exactly what's gonna happen. I can see it happening, and it's disappointing to me.
Okay.
But on to the good stuff, our favorite stuff of the episode. Elyse, what is your favorite part of this week's episode?
So Scott already touched on the fact that the fundraiser needed someone to oversee it, and Sandy was called upon by Kirsten because she needed some help with it.
What are you doing?
You know, heading into the office. Start work on the low-income housing initiative.
So you're free then?
No. What's up?
Well, you know, the OC charity yard sale that I was supposed to chair but can't because I'm working.
The OC has a charity yard sale?
Well, the donors get to keep half the money, so it's not just for charity.
I thought all the yards around here were gated.
It's in a ballroom of a country club.
So a charity event where the donors keep half the profits and a yard sale with no yard. So that's how they do it in the OC.
Sandy, I was just wondering if you could do me a tiny little favor.
No way.
And Sandy was not into it at first. And then he was surrounded by the noopsies, and Sandy became a noopsie for about 5 to 10 minutes of the show, and I was here for it. He was talking all about the types of tablecloths that clashed with the flower arrangements. He was nagging on some lady for ordering these napkin rings that he thought just looked awful. And it was just like, who is this Sandy, you know?
Whoa, ow, ladies. Hey, I hate to say I told you so, but these centerpieces and those tablecloths, they clash. Darren, I told you, get those linens with the hem stitch.
I know, Sandy, I know.
I'm sorry, but you have no one else to blame but yourself.
He's been paying attention. He's been paying attention to all these parties, to all these decisions that Kirsten makes, and he might not have said something, but he obviously had some opinions, and now he was able to let his opinions fly, and he was just wonderful. Not just in the whole, like, being the chair and helping the selection of all of that, but he also did a really good job as the MC of the whole show.
He's great.
You give him a microphone and he will steal the show.
He's so good. He's so good in this episode. I love him.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
I love how Kirsten convinces him to do it. It's like, you'll get a microphone.
Yep. Everyone knows that's Sandy's weakness. A microphone and an audience that's required to listen to him.
And can we just... Peter Gallagher is such a good actor.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want to play the scene where they tell him that it's not just a figurehead position. And his response, like his line read on "it's not," is like perfect.
You're the honorary chair. It's not just a figurehead position.
It's not?
Well, and you wish that they could see his face too.
Yeah,
but
it's
okay.
It's a perfect performance. It's a pitch perfect performance. It's so good, and yeah, he kills it. He kills everything here. I loved him as MC. I loved him as harassing the noopsies. It was so good. It was so good.
It was wonderful. Yeah. So that was my favorite part about it.
Right.
What was yours?
My favorite part also involves Sandy Cohen. Of
course it does.
But I wanted to talk about Sandy and Carter's budding friendship, because this has been an ongoing plot line. We have the clear attraction between Kirsten and Carter, her coworker on the magazine. And this is the episode in which Sandy and Carter hung out quite a lot, actually. And they're getting along. They're getting along a lot.
After the initial conversation.
Yeah. Well,
they got along.
The initial conversation was very awkward.
With Sandy puffing his chest and Carter saying nothing to worry about.
Well, he goes like, so long hours, late nights.
He's been there, done that before, so he knows.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's point out that when he was doing that before, Kirsten was losing her fucking mind about it.
Yeah.
Sandy hasn't said anything yet because he's a saint. But then he goes through this whole thing, and then there's this wonderful scene where he's talking to Kirsten about how much he likes Carter, and I think he says something to fact like, since Jimmy left, I didn't think I'd have another friend in Newport again. And then comes along Carter. We're gonna go get drinks later. And I can't help but laugh at this repeated trend of everyone in the city that Sandy really, really enjoys is also someone that Kirsten Cohen is extremely attracted to and might have some infidelity issues with. It's really wonderful. Like, first Jimmy, now this guy. Who's next? Who is next?
I don't know, Scott. Who's next?
I don't know, but I love it.
Kirsten brings them in. Sandy can't make friends on his own. Poor Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Sandy.
Poor Sandy. But I loved that part. I thought it was great, and it's a really interesting development in the whole thing, because I remember how excited I was when Jimmy and Sandy started becoming friends. It's like that, but we haven't gotten the infidelity portion of the show yet. So like, I know it's happening, or it's gonna happen, or at least Kirsten's gonna be tempted, and I don't know what she's gonna do. And them being really close friends makes that even more dramatic and delicious.
We'll just have to see, Scott.
Before we move on to the next section, I do have a couple things about this episode that don't fit into our Rosies and Thornies that I just wanted to talk to you about. Things that I really liked, but weren't quite Rosie level.
Oh,
material.
Curveball.
Yeah.
Like what?
So there's this one part where there's this one Noopsie, and she really wants to fuck Trey. Like, it's super
All the
obvious.
Noopsies have things for the younger men.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really
Julie had something for Luke, and all the other friends also had stuff for Luke. I mean, you saw how much they were like squeezing his arms and everything in season 1. And now they've got fresh meat. They just got to sink their claws into him.
There's a portion in the show where they are attempting to delay the auction of the egg because they're still getting it back, where Summer and Marissa are desperately trying to come up with ways to delay it. And one of their ways is to offer both Zach and Trey up as like basically hard labor people. Like, you can buy them for a day to do stuff around the house for you. And as they put them up there, they cut back to this Noopsie, and she's got this look on her face, this like biting her lip.
She's thirsty.
Yeah, it's so, and she ends up buying him for like $400. I don't know if this is going anywhere or not, but I thought it was hilarious. It's so transparent. I was like, how old is Trey supposed to be? He's definitely an adult, right? At least we can say he's an adult.
Next episode is his 21st birthday.
Okay. So he's an adult.
20.
Well, I feel a little bit better about that. It's still, it's really funny. I wish I could share screenshots over podcast, because she's definitely like biting her lip and being like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I really wanted to talk to you about, a moment in the show that I really liked, was the tea set stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was sweet.
So Marissa is trying to get money to help Trey out. And so her plan is to auction something off at the charity auction to get enough money to help him. And so she's digging through the basement of her house, and she finds this silver tea set. And she ends up offering the silver tea set at auctions, and then Kirsten ends up buying it for $5,000. Which means she's going to get $300 or $2,500 because they get to keep half of it, which is not enough for what Trey needs.
But it's just about the right amount that he needs.
But anyway, so there's this real like interesting beat. Like, why did Kirsten spend $5,000 on this tea set? And it turns out this was her mother's tea set, and her dad had just like didn't care about it, and Julie Cooper had just like shoved it in the basement along with the other stuff. She was
going to get rid of all this stuff. Yeah.
And it's not like a main plot line of the story. Like, I don't know if this thing is going to go anywhere or not. It's just this really nice moment where like Kirsten has not talked about her mother very much at all, other than we know she's died, and she was very close with her, closer than with her father, at least. And there was just this really nice little moment that didn't draw a lot of attention to itself, that I just thought was really sweet. I liked it.
Well, because Marissa said that there was the point where Kirsten said that it was her mother's tea set, and Marissa said that, well, if you just told me that, then I would have given it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But Kirsten had said that she thought that her mom would have loved the fact that her tea set was in an auction.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's just, Kirsten's a very closed off person.
Yeah.
And so you don't really get a lot of her past or anything until it has gotten to the point where she needs to explode on someone.
Definitely.
And so
Definitely.
it was, nice to get to see that.
It was. My last final one note is at the very beginning of the episode, Trey, Ryan, and Seth are arguing about which is the best action hero.
Sandy. Duh.
I believe Trey says, or Seth says Stallone, Trey says Van Damme, and Ryan Atwood, extremely disappointingly, says Steven Seagal, who is undoubtedly the worst of all three of these people.
You know what? Ryan doesn't know anything. We've
doesn't.
learned this over many episodes, and he just tries to fit in.
I'm okay with the Van Damme Stallone argument. Totally fine with it. Steven Seagal sucks. He sucks. He's
I was
awful.
okay with the Steve McQueen.
Yeah, that was a great entry from Sandy Cohen.
Yeah.
Steve McQueen. And I don't know. I feel like Seth is like up on his movie knowledge. I'm surprised he didn't even know who Steve McQueen was.
Yeah, I feel like he really would have.
Yeah, but Trey did.
Yeah. Brownie points for Trey.
Yep. All right,
okay,
Elyse,
Scott, are you ready?
I'm done at last.
Okay. Come on, Scott. Tell me about the style in the OC. Hey, hey, hey. Come on, Scott. Tell me about the style in this episode. Yeah.
All right, so first up for the week.
Scroll up for a second. Marissa did get a back tattoo. You remember when she got a back tattoo with Alex?
She did?
Alex wanted her to get a tattoo, so she went and got a tattoo.
I totally don't remember this happening at all.
Yeah, it happened.
And it obviously was not that long ago. How did I forget this?
It's fine.
Okay, well, that answers my question. Marissa has a back tattoo. Do you remember I don't remember when this was, but I felt like there was a time period where the it things for young girls to do was to get the back tattoo and to get their belly button pierced.
Oh, yeah.
That was
the late 90s, early 2000s.
I feel
Britney Spears.
Yeah, it was Britney Spears, Christina. I feel like all the female pop stars had back tat, pierced belly button.
You know, I forget why someone told me and who told me one time, and I'm sure it's not even true, but at one point someone said to not get a back tattoo like that because then if you ever have a child, you can't get an epidural because of the needle and the ink. I don't know.
I don't think that's true.
I think they were just trying to scare me.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist. That feels like it would be true.
I just can't get tattoos for other reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So anyway, first on the docket this week, there was an auction, so a lot of people were dressed very fancy for the auction. And then we have Summer, who I usually don't have a lot to complain about, but this week I do. Elyse, she's wearing a skirt, but it's like a light blue, extremely poofy skirt.
It's almost like a neon blue.
Yeah, and she's got a silver metal belt around it, and then her midriff is showing because that was so hot back then. That goes along with the belly button piercings. And she's got, I don't even know what to describe. She looks bad.
I mean, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Who is the character that's in there? That's what she looks like. Esmeralda. She's Esmeralda.
She does look a little Esmeralda-ish.
That's what she looks like.
Now that you've said Esmeralda, I can't. I'm gonna look.
Yeah. I mean, spot on. I'm not even kidding.
She's got the hoop earrings going on.
She has the white shirt with the puffy sleeves. It's the same color around the bodice as it is on her skirt.
Yeah, that's definitely what they were going for.
And then the skirt that Esmeralda is wearing is the top that Summer is wearing. It's that same color.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is Summer. I don't like it.
Not good, Summer.
And then we have Marissa here.
You're not going to talk about... Are you going to say the best for last?
I'm going to say the best for last. Marissa here is wearing a pink dress.
No bra again.
No, well, she never wears a bra. I don't like this. Describe this, Elyse.
It's a drop waist.
What does that mean? What's a drop waist?
You have a natural waist that's actually a little bit higher than your belly button, but a drop waist is actually around your hip bones.
Well, that's where my my pants are at my hip. They're not my belly button.
Your they're above your hip bone.
Yeah, my pants are right here.
Yeah, a drop waist is in line or below your hip bone.
Okay.
That's what hers is.
Well, it's like it flares out a lot at the bottom.
Yeah, and it's like a bandana.
It's like really
bottom.
simple on top and then like goes fucking crazy on the bottom, and I don't like it.
I feel like I had a dress kind of like that.
It's not my favorite. Not at all. But you know who is
You know what? They're fun though to wear
What?
because when you walk, it just bounces.
If you spin, does it? That'd
That
be cool.
That's the fun part
That'd be
about
cool.
those.
That'd be cool. I guess it's okay.
It's not as bad as summer.
Do you know who
Best dressed for this week?
best dressed for this week? If you had to guess, if I had told you beforehand who best dressed for this week, would you ever guess Seth Cohen?
I would have never.
But tell me this does not look good.
It does.
So they're at the auction house.
He looks sharp.
And Ryan is just wearing like a very normal like black suit. Ryan is suited up in a black suit. Trey is suited up in a black suit. Everyone's looking normal. Seth is rocking the tie-less sports coat. It's like a cream colored sports jacket with a blue striped shirt underneath it. He looks fucking good.
He looks sharp.
He does. He looks real good. He looks like Ryan looks like a boy wearing a suit, like a teenage boy wearing a suit. Seth looks like a fucking man. And
who would have ever thought?
Not me. And this is 2 weeks in a row where Seth's wardrobe has looked very adult, and I'm like, hey, wardrobe people, maybe calm down because he does not look like a kid here.
Oh, but they showed that he's not very adult whenever Ryan tosses him the keys. And he doesn't even there's no reflex. His hands don't leave his pocket.
That is true. Seth Cohen on point in this episode. Yeah. I understand why Summer loves him. Although back off the comic books, Summer.
Yeah. Stop watching Disney movies.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready for relationship status?
I am.
All right. So first up, Sandy and Kirsten. Last week, we're at a 5 out of 10. Now, Kirsten needs help this episode to find a chair for the Newport pseudo yard sale. She reverts back to her old ways and asks Sandy for help, who reluctantly obliges once he realizes that he gets a captive audience and a microphone. Sandy has a conversation with Carter this episode to put some things straight, and Carter seems to recognize the boundaries. We're going to move them from a 5 to 10 to a 7 out of 10 this episode.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, not a lot of specific concern about their relationship in this one. Seems so overall solid. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about Julie and Caleb.
All right, Julie Cooper and Caleb Nickel. Last week, we gave them a 3 out of 10. At the end of that episode, they agreed that they needed to go on a vacation to kind of let the whole porn tape thing blow over. So yeah, they're not in this episode. After Julie's embarrassment last week, Caleb and Julie decided to take a little trip away. We guess that means it's good for their relationship. We don't know. Everything is happening off screen right now, so we don't know for sure. But, a week without drama in this show is worth at least a point. So we're going to bump them up from a 3 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10. Good job, Julie and Caleb. Maybe take more European vacations. It seems to be good for you.
Good to me. We're going to move on now to Summer and Seth. Last week, we're at a 6 out of 10. And this week, Seth and Zach are approached to continue their comic book, but as a graphic novel. Summer has been against bringing the comic back and tells Seth that if he starts it up again, she will kill him in his sleep. That doesn't seem like the healthiest of relationships to me personally. And even if she finally does allow the graphic novel to launch at the end of this episode, there's still some things that need to be worked on. So we're going to bump him down to a 5 out of 10. They're just in the middle of the road now.
Yeah, I gotta say, Elyse, the last couple episodes, I've been kind of disagreeing with your choices here. This week, I have totally agreed with everything you said here. Yeah, this is not a good, brings a lot of confidence into the relationship episode for Seth and Summer.
You're gonna have to tell me if you agree with the next one then.
We'll see.
Okay.
And usually, the thing with the Seth and Summer relationships is usually Seth's the one looking bad and making me worry about the relationship.
Summer this time.
Yeah, shockingly, it's Summer being unreasonable. All right, so next up we have Kirsten and Carter. Last week we gave them a 3 out of 10. This week, Kirsten brings Carter around to her family more these days and seems to also be telling him more about her family off-screen, too. She shares about Seth's comic and enough about her marriage for Carter to convincingly tell Sandy that there's nothing between them. They are sponsoring the yard sale together and sitting with each other at a table. Long nights together alone scream for something bad to happen on this show. 5 out of 10. Wow, that's aggressive, Elyse. 5 out of 10. So the happily in love Seth and Summer rate at the exact same spot.
They're not happily in love.
They are. They've got some problems, but they're still in love with each other.
Yeah, well, they do. Kirsten and Carter are healthier than Julie Cooper and Caleb Nickel right now.
Well, I guess that's true. One of them is still adultery, though.
Yes, I know. Okay. I know.
I don't want to lose sight of that.
I know.
All
Scott,
right.
I'm really sad to bring us this last relationship. It's back on the board this week because after last week and after the opening scene, we know that Ryan and Marissa, they're back together, but not officially back together. Ryan and Marissa have agreed to take things slow right now and not be a couple at the moment, which was hard when they were under the same roof for a few days and Ryan ran into her topless. The writers seem to want this to work out, but Scott, we all know my opinion of these two, and it is not a good one. I'm going to give them 2 out of 10 just because they each get a point.
They each get a point by default as long as they're... Yeah, I mean, they're taking it slow, quote unquote, which is not true. They're not taking it slow. Marissa really has, like, put herself in the middle of this Ryan and Trey thing in a way that I think I predicted last week. Nothing but trouble. But yeah, they have to go back on the board because their fingers almost touch in this episode. They almost kiss. They keep getting interrupted. It's almost as if fate is saying, no,
don't do it.
Don't. But they will. Of course they will.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's all of our relationships this week, Scott. Next week, our episode is going to be number 19 called The Rager.
Yeah, well,
I guess I kind of already told you that
yeah.
Next week is Trey's birthday.
Telling me that it's Trey's 21st birthday allows me to guess pretty concretely what The Rager is going to be about.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. But you know what that means? Bad. Nothing but
Trey is a bad boy, isn't he?
Trey is a bad boy, and he's gonna rage at his rager. Oh my god, it's gonna be bad. The question will be to me, and this has been the question, since Trey was introduced in the show last week. Who is going to rage with him? Is it going to be Ryan? Or is it going to be Marissa?
Oh, that's a good question there, Scott.
I still think Marissa. I still think that's what the show is going to do. I mean, and the show has kind of gone out of its way to put Trey and Marissa together. Like, they've been in several scenes together, right? They have a relationship amongst just the two of them without Ryan. So that, to me, affords the opportunity for her to rage on this rager. Because we know if Marissa's bad at one thing, it's alcohol. She's very bad at controlling her alcohol intake. And on someone's 21st birthday is a really great time for her to get just as smashed as the birthday boy.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to find out. And we'll do that next week on Whatcha Say, the world's only premiere
OC Marriage podcast.
OC podcast by two married people who also don't talk about the show for half the show. It's the only one of its kind. You can't get this shit anywhere else.
You can't.
Only here.
Yeah. But, Scott, that's all we have time for this week's episode. So if you're listening and you like this podcast, you can go and check out all the other shows that we do over at doofmedia.com. Also, you can consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/doofmedia.
Can I plug something on our Patreon?
Of course. Plug away.
We have been doing, we've been getting into the bonus content game pretty hard over on Patreon. Yeah, Matt and his brother Daniel have been doing bonus podcast episodes once a month for 4 or 5 months now, where it's just two brothers getting together to talk about random stuff. They've talked about like this education system in this country, one that you would probably be very interested in, Elyse. They've talked about rationalism. They've talked about memetics and like how ideas are spread through memes. And I think they're going to be talking about, well, I don't want to spoil that. But the point is, that is available exclusive to our $10 and up donors, along with a bunch of other stuff. Our friends Matthias and Jarvis also did a podcast about some anime that they're calling it Doofovers, because like it's an episode Matt and I did on Puella Magic. It's some anime about magical Schoolgirls that Matt and I did not like very much, but Jarvis and Matthias liked a whole lot. So they recorded a little bonus episode about how much they liked it. And they called it Doofovers. So that is available right now, too, on our bonus content. And there's more coming. We have more shows coming. We're really going into this bonus content thing because we've always kind of felt like we weren't giving our patrons enough bonus content. So we're really investing in this, and it's going to be really fun. And you can get to listen to all that stuff and anything that comes out in the future if you head on over to patreon.com/doofmedia and pledge to us at the $10 level. It's a pretty cool deal.
That's awesome, Scott.
Pretty cool deal. Yeah.
Well, if they are listening to that, that's great. And if you happen to be listening to our show via Apple Podcasts, you can head on over there and drop us a rating and review. We'd really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's the reason, based on your ratings and reviews, that we get to move on up.
Move on up.
Yep. In the ratings. To the top 10 spot.
Yeah, I mean, we're already the number one OC podcast.
Self-proclaimed.
We'll
it's all self-proclaimed.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.